for checking in on my YouTube channel, and today on this edition I'm going to be discussing an issue that is very important in the early years education. Today I have the opportunity, the honor and the privilege to be chatting and discussing with a very seasoned early years educator. Miss Aisha Mohammed is based in Dubai and she specializes in early childhood education. As a passionate early years educator and trainer that she is, she has also held administrative roles in various early years establishments in Nigeria and in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. She has attended several workshops and training to promote her skills, to improve on her skills in early childhood education. Ms. Aisha is currently an approved Ministry of Education and KHDA nursery manager and a trainee coordinator. She wants to share her vast experience with others in the early childhood education field. You're welcome to my edition to this YouTube program.
Thank you for having me here with you. Thank you.
All right. You remember the first time that I met with you? That was about a year or thereabout. And at that time, I was actually looking for a job as an early years professional educator, and then I met with you. It was supposed to be an interview, but she was busy getting me, informed on some other things on early years education that she felt that I should still know about. And it really got me very interested in her career, in her profession, and in her experience. And that's why I said, oh, she must come on my YouTube edition. We're happy to have you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
How did your teaching experience and teaching career, how did it start?
Actually, I never started off as a teacher. I started off as a nursery administrator. Back home in Nigeria, I was an admin officer, in an early years center. And the way children comes in the morning when they arrive at the center, there's this smile and there's this joy you see on their faces when they're rushing into their various classrooms. So I was kind of curious, and I remember one day asking one of our teachers, what does it take for one to be a teacher? And she said to me, she was like, Miss Aisha, you already have a bachelor's. And I said, yes, I do. And she was like, oh, that's easy. Why not go for a postgraduate in education? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. And after a while, I didn't continue in the field of education. I left the early years setting, and then I moved into a corporate organization where I worked as a HR assistant. I was in the HR department. I worked there for about 2.5 years, and then again, a call for being in the early years setting came in again, and I'm like, oh, I think this is about time. So what I now did, I continued working in my new place again, because I left the HR after 2.5 years or so, almost 3 years, and then I went into another early years school where I was working, and I became a supervisor and an admin officer where I was overseeing what was happening in the entire nursery. And then I said, okay, so I think this is a good time for me to just go back to school. And then I took up a form, registered, enrolled for the postgraduate diploma in education. And I did that for about 15 months back home. It was a year plus course. And I did it, and it was quite interesting, and I learned how to prepare curriculum. I learned how to study the lesson plan and see how the lesson plan is being taught in the classroom, how the teachers use it and stuff like that. And for me, it was like, wow, this is it. And it was really interesting for me. So that's how I found my way back into the early years setting. So I never was a teacher. I didn't start off as a teacher. I started off as an office admin, a nursery administrator, then supervisor, and then I started planning. We started putting up like lesson plan together, like we do the curriculum the weekly. And I will never forget the person who taught me how to do that. She was then my boss, Miss Ifoma. You know, she was a goal getter, and you know, seeing her doing what she was doing, going in school, and then trying to see how she was going to run everything. And then sometimes she just throws some challenges at me, like, "Oh, Aisha, I need you to do this," even if she knows that there are not things I can do. But she challenged me to do those things, and for me, I remain grateful, super, super grateful to her for giving me that opportunity to explore those fields of early years.
Wow, that's quite a journey. Wow, well done, Miss Aisha. Unlike me, I actually, after secondary school, I wanted to go to study law at the university. But at that time, you know how it is, JAMB result, the university entrance exam. We had this starting point. You must have a particular point to get into the university. I didn't meet up, and my dad forced me at that time. I said, no, go to the teacher training college. And I went there, and that was how I was hooked. The rest is history, and I'm grateful to God. And that's a memory of my late dad. Thank you very much. So I see you have, so eventually you started to train, you started to invest in yourself.
Yeah, I started investing in myself, you know, and in 2016 or so, I think 2016 in December or thereabouts, we had like a family vacation here in the UAE, and someone had given me a parcel to give to someone. So when I got into Dubai, we had our time, we explored, we were here for like 2 weeks or so. I came with some of my sisters and cousins like that. We're all together in Dubai. And then when the guy came to receive the parcel from me, he just asked me, he's an elderly man, he said, "What do you do?" So I said to him, I work in a school. And he was like, "Oh, I have a sister who works in a school here in Dubai, and she's doing well. That haven't I thought about it of coming into Dubai and, you know, being a teacher here in Dubai?" And I'm like, "Really?" He was like, "Yes." And you know, immediately he just put a call through to the girl. He didn't even wait to see if it was something I wanted to do or not. And then he called her, her name is Lara, and he spoke to her, and that was how we exchanged numbers. Honestly, that thing he told me at that time, it just, you know, as in, it just woke up some things in me, like, oh, I can actually come here and teach and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so I got talking with the girl, I took her number, I got talking to her. There and there here in Dubai, I started applying for schools even before I went back home to after the holiday, you know. I was still here in Dubai, and I was just going online. I was submitting my CVs, submitting applications to different early years centers. I didn't care if I had an experience or not, but I just said, okay, let me give it a try. And honestly, you will not believe, immediately we got back to Nigeria, I got a call from a school. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention the name of the school, you know. I got a call from a school, and they reached out to me and they said, "Can you come in like 2 weeks?" And I'm like, 2 weeks? No, I'm not sure I can come in like 2 weeks. I need to put myself in order, you know. If I'm going to leave where I'm working, I need to let them know I want to leave and stuff like that. I have a daughter. My house needs to be in order before I leave. I don't think I can leave in 2 weeks. And the HR said to me, she said, "Okay, we'll keep in touch, but just let me know. We need you here in like 2 weeks' time if it is something you could do." And then I spoke to one of my older sisters, and she was like, "So this is real?" And she was like, "What do I think? Is this something I want to do?" I said, "I think I should give it a try." And that was in January 2017 or so. And she was like, "So what do you want to do?" I'm like, "Oh, I need to put up my things together, and let's see if it's something, let me see if it's something I can do within a month or in 2 months' time or so." But I knew I was going to miss that opportunity, because if they are asking for someone to come in 2 weeks, definitely I wasn't ready to leave under that 2 weeks duration. And then it took me from January, it took me till April 9th about 4 months, I made up my mind. And on the 10th of April, I was here in Dubai. I came into Dubai, and then the real business of the day started. We started going for job hunting, looking for schools, submitting application. And unfortunately for me, at the time I came, it was summer. The whole place was hot. I have never experienced that kind of weather, and I'm like, oh my God. Yes, I have been to Dubai several times, but I've never come under that kind of weather, or maybe come during summer or so like that. But it was scorching hot. It was terrible. So I came in with a 3-month visa, and I'm like, okay, let's see what's. I remember one day after searching for a job, in fact, I was walking home, and then I called a sister back home, and I said to her, I said, no, this is not it. I'm like, no, I've not gotten anything yet. It was like I was giving up, and she said to me, she was like, you're not giving up, right? There's no going back. So you just stay, finish the 3 months. If you don't get anything, then we know at least you tried and you didn't get anything. And exactly 1 month I stepped into Dubai, I got a call from Chubby Chicks Nursery, and was it? No, I didn't get a call. I went to submit my CV. I submitted my CV on the 8th of May or 7th of May, thereabouts like that. And on the 10th, I got a call. They said I should come for a demo. I went for a demo to the closest branch, close to where I was staying. And when I got there, I did my demo, and they were like, okay, they don't have a vacancy in this branch. Maybe they will call me when they have. They gave me numbers, and the rest is history. I started off as an earliest tutor. I started off in a toddler's classroom. I had no idea of how to teach, but it was something I've seen people do. I've always been in the situation too. I've never been a classroom teacher. Let me use that word. That I've not been a classroom teacher. But coming to Dubai, I started off as a classroom teacher. And immediately I started seeing the kind of opportunities, what I needed to do to get something better, and gradually I enrolled for the level 5, which is leadership and management in LES setting. I enrolled for it during that period when I came in, enrolled for the course, did the course for like 1 year, and boom. From a classroom teacher, somehow they found me qualified. I became one of the managers in the nursery. Gradually I rose, and the rest is history. I'm so grateful.
Wow, that is very impressive. But what is the purpose of the early years with your training, with all the workshops you've attended, the courses you have invested in, to really get yourself onto that professional level of it all? What is the impact of an efficient and effective early years education system? What should it have? What is the impact of it on a child's growth, on a child's developmental stages?
For me, what I say is, because we follow this, the EYFS framework, the British curriculum, that has to do with an holistic development. When we say holistic, we mean like a general development. You're not looking for a child who is only social. You're not looking for a child that is physically developed. You're not looking for a child who can just speak. You're looking for a child that is all-round developed, be it literacy, be it numeracy, be it communication and language, be it physical development, physical, social and emotional development, creative art, knowledge and understanding of the world. These are the things we're looking for. So as an early years educator, for me, the positive impact which it has on me, which I think it should have on everybody, you are able to fit in any position or any situation you find yourself. Be you a classroom teacher, you know what to do to get the children on the right track. Be you a manager, you know what to do to make your setting be the best setting as possible as it can be. Having know the right trainings that your teachers need to embark on. You know, when you see a teacher in a classroom teaching, there are certain things you should know about the teacher. Okay, what training does she need? How is this teacher going to help this child develop fully? What are the things you need to do with the teacher? What are the things you need to do in the center to make your learning environment more conducive, you know, more stimulating, and giving the child an all-round development? So you see, it's you knowing where you fit in. So being a teacher is not just okay, I'm a teacher, so you're just going to go into the classroom, just teach. No, you need to understand what this child needs. What are the child's immediate learning needs? How do you meet this child's needs? So for me, it's all intertwined. They all go hand in hand.
Okay. We'll still come back. I still want to, on a child, when I look at a child, and I look what impact, how do I tell the impact of the kind of framework to which that child has been exposed to? How do I tell on the child's development, his developmental stages, he's reaching his milestones?
When a child comes to you, the first thing you need to do on the child is to get to know the child. First, you get information from the parents. What are the things you need to know about this child? Are there any delays? Are there any developmental delays? Is the child a special needs child? So parents need to understand that they need to, it's a parent-teacher or parent-nursery partnership, you know. If they are bringing a child to your center, they should be able to trust you well enough to tell you everything you need to know about the child. And then, as a teacher, the first thing you need to know is to get to know this child. How do you get to know the child? Interacting and bonding with the child. Truth is that you might not get to know everything in one day, because the child comes into a setting, the place is new, the child is still, the whole place is strange to the child. The child might just be an observant child, not to express or show anything. Some of them might just be quiet. So you just think, okay, this is the first time, the second day, the third day. At least, after 1 week, you should be able to tell one or two things about the child. Assessment is there for you to assess the child. Is this child well enough to be under this kind of setting? Is this where this child is supposed to be? At their end, as in, is the child school ready? Because some of them are not actually school ready, and we bring them into that kind of setting, they are not going to adjust. But remember that children are actually different. Some of them might come, just be that social butterfly that will be everywhere, be with everybody, and you're able to just feel like, oh, this child is okay. And you take that as an advantage because the child is a social butterfly. You neglect to find out what the needs of that child are. So you must assess the child in all areas. Is this child fully developed? You know, the fine motor skills, are they there? The cognitive skills, are there? You just have to do an evaluation for the child to know if the child fits properly into the setting where you have brought the child to.
Wow. I love that you have talked about assessing the child, evaluation to be able to tell what the needs of the child. I really love that. That's very important. And the EYFS framework actually emphasizing the need to create an enabling environment for learning and a positive, you mentioned that, positive relationship between the child and the adults around. This is great. This is great. That's what the theme and the principles of EYFS is actually all about.
And you know, the good thing about the new framework right now is that you have to bond with every child. Right now, it's no longer the taking of pictures, you just want to do artwork, put pictures out there. Now you need to connect. There should be a connection between you and the child in such a way that when they wake you up from your sleep and ask you, what do you know about Hannah? You are able to tell. See, for me, what I used to tell teachers and what I used to do when I was a classroom teacher, I have a journal, When a child comes into my class, I have a journal. So what I do on that journal, I just split the journal into about maybe the whole 7 learning areas for one child. So I start doing my assessment on a child from the first week the child comes to me. So that by the 12th week, I have a comprehensive assessment for that child. And when I'm going to give a report, I'm not going to go back to first week. I'm just going to look at my 12th week or 11th week and then do a summary of my assessment based on the child. And I submit it.
Wow, that's great. And then you mentioned something about the review. Do you think the review on the EYFS framework, do you think is that much? Is this that significant?
It's quite significant, because if we're going to be bonding more with the child, it means that you need to spend quality time with each child under your care at this time. So for me, it's good. I think this new reform, it's good. It's actually going to help teachers. It's easy. It makes the whole job easy for you. You're not there clicking pictures. You're there bonding with the child to see where you can meet the child's individual learning need. Identify what those needs are and find a way to meet up with the child.
Wow, that's good. Thank you very much. And at the moment, you are actually a nursery director?
Yes.
If I am right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
At your center, what curriculum
we follow the British curriculum, the EYFS framework. That's what we follow there.
What is the level of engagement and involvement of the parents of your children in your center? What is the level of... Because
actually,
this time, there's a need for us to, engage parents and to get them involved.
Yes. So what I do mostly, I ensure that the teachers and the parents at our centers are committed to us. I always tell them, leave 70% for us to do.
Yeah.
The 30, please do it. Once there is a continuity from the center home, there will not be any loopholes. It's only when you fail to do it, that is when you know that there's going to be a problem. Because for every child, as long as there's no continuity, the child doesn't feel the need why this should be done. The child only feels that I only get to do this when I'm at the center. I don't get to do it when I'm at home. So I always tell my parents, 70% we will do, 30% we give to you, do it. And then we try as much as possible. I try to meet with them on, face-to-face, have interaction with them, make the teachers call the parents, find out what you think the parents are really want. What are their takes? Do they think their child are actually doing well now compared to when they came and stuff like that? And we currently took up a center that has been closed for so long. So creating this whole awareness, trying to get back on our feet and everything, these are the things we're doing just to stand out. But one thing I have made sure that operates in our center, we focus more on communication and language skills, because we found out that this is one thing that most of the kids are really, really lacking. One thing, because I think after the whole COVID and now everyone is trying to come back, some children are coming back timid. Some of them have missed their words. They don't even know what to say anymore. They don't know the right words to use and stuff like that. So we follow the whole EYFS framework, and then we concentrate on the 7 learning areas, paying more emphasis on communication and language skills.
In my years of teaching experience, I know this is real, and I know this can, if you're not careful, if you don't handle it well, it can give a negative kind of impression about the school. How do you handle parents that are difficult? There are some over-inquisitive parents and some parents that you just can't satisfy them.
Yeah, the truth is
for
that,
you, how do you?
We always say, the saying always goes that customers are always right. These parents are our customers. The only thing we do is listen to them. We listen and then we try to meet them. There's no point arguing with them, because what they think is what they think. So for you now is do your own homework and leave a positive and a lasting impression on them. So we don't talk too much, we just do what we need to do.
To do the talk.
Yes.
So to achieve all this, I know you need a team to actually get all this in place. So, and you need teachers and teaching assistants. at your own center, how qualified are your teachers, your teaching assistants?
Now we're quite a small number for now, so as it goes by the grace of God, I'm sure we'll increase. But the numbers we have now, we have a child psychologist at our center. We have all qualified. Our teachers are actually all qualified. Our TAs are all qualified. They have the cash level 3, cash level 2 qualifications. Bachelor's in education, they have it. The other one, we have a child psychologist who is currently at the center, and then she works with children who come in. We think maybe there's a developmental delay or something. She works with them. So it's working out pretty well for us as it is right now.
So parents don't have to be bothered, because it's one of the questions that parents always ask me, Teacher Kemi, how qualified are they? Are you sure they're qualified? So you make sure that they have level 2, level 3.
With the new rules now, with nurseries going under KHDA, you need approval before you get a teacher's labor card. So when you submit the document of the teachers, if they are not qualified, obviously you can't get it. So
gone are those days when the teaching industry used to be like a dumping ground for people. I think it's all over the world now. Government has seen to it that teachers are qualified to actually fitting into that position. That's a good one.
Which I think is really working for us.
So you do background checks, because we hear a lot of things happening around now, child abuse, child molestation, and all that.
We do hear it, but we don't have that at our center, so we are not.
You're not.
We try as much as possible not to have that. So we don't have it. We go through our system. I go through the CCTV cameras. I watch to see what's happening. Even when everybody leaves the center, if I need to sit back or I need to go back on a day when nobody is there, I quietly sit down. Like on Saturdays like this. When we have to be at home. And those are the things we get to do, to go and review, to see footage of what has happened, and then you know where to correct it, and then you know what to do. You see how the teacher is delivering the lesson. Is it proper or it's not proper? You see the way they handle them when eating, when feeding. You know what to do when next you guys meet.
Thank you for that, Ms. Aisha. What is your center's policy on child protection and safeguarding?
That's a big one. That's a big one, because when it has to do with safeguarding, protecting children from maltreatment and the rest of that,
from accidents,
preventing impairment of children's mental and physical health, and their development, ensuring that children grow up in circumstances that is consistent. So we try to put all these things in place. So for child protection, especially, one of the things we do immediately we get into the center, risk assessments. Very important. Once we come in, before the children come in, check that every other thing is in place. The classroom is safe, the nursery is safe for the children, the play area is safe for the children to be around there. And then when they are with the teachers we find a way how we look at all these things, just to be sure everything is on track. So that is absolutely on point at our center.
Parents are always curious to know what assistance, what plans, what services are provided at learning centers to help their children to reach their major developmental milestones. Usually they ask, what are your plans? What are the services you provide to help? Potty training, eating, table manners, and all that. Dressing himself up. And then especially cognitive skills, emotional development, speech, language. You mentioned that, communication skills, fine and gross motor skills.
So we do all of that at our center. Like I said to you, one of the best things we have put in place is continuous provision. Continuous provision. Make sure there's a provocation table that provokes a child's learning. Set it up. And then when the child comes and the child is curious, the child wants to know what it is. So we do constantly continuous provision for that. And then we ensure that our phonics classes are in place, done every day. We do it every day, you know. So we try to empower our staff as well so that they know what to do with the children. So all this, we put that in place under checks.
So you try to encourage children to explore.
Oh yeah, sure.
To want to
we
learn.
allow them to do.
Yeah,
So another
learn.
new thing I started doing, I got a microphone for them, like public speaking, just to help them during circle time. I told the teachers, give them the mic, allow them to say something, let them tell you what their needs are, let them tell you what they did this morning before coming to school, how their day went, how their weekend went, you know, is giving the child confidence. Self-independent, you know, so we try to build this in the children.
And I remember also role play helps them to develop confidence.
Yeah, sure.
And then in the mornings we have circle time,
We do that.
so that they stand up and talk and all that. It's part of early childhood
You're building
setting.
the foundation, you're setting the foundation for the child, which needs to be done, because when the child gets into big school, it's a different ball game entirely. The child is all left to himself. So if a child have not started practicing this thing or understanding how this thing works from the center, it becomes hard for some of them to cope when they get into the big school.
For you as a practitioner and a professional, you know, for a parent, when do you think I should start to get bothered about a child's developmental stages?
This
For
is
example,
one thing we
you know,
always
speech.
talk about.
Yeah.
I always talk about with parents. I said, see, when you have a child who is able to express him or herself, you don't have a problem. When the child is 3, the child is communicating to you, the child can express feelings at that time, you don't have a problem. When you start, I tell them that when the child is crossing to like 4+5, and some of these developmental milestones have not been attained, no, there is a red flag. It's time for you to do something. For me, I will say from 3+. Because if there's a problem, let's tackle it immediately. Let's not wait until the child is 6. Because some of them will tell you that, oh, the child doesn't know anything, the child is still young now, the child is still... But excuse me, there are some red flags. Developmental milestone, follow the chart. I try to give parents developmental milestone to see what the child is supposed to be doing when the child is 3 months, when the child is 9 months, when the child is 12 months, when the child is 15 months, you know. So when you follow their developmental milestone, and the child, it could be a delay. So it's either the child is supposed to do it at 15 months and the child is not doing it. By the time it's 16, 17, still not doing. 18 months, still not doing. Some of them are slow learners, some are fast learners, you know, and some, it just takes a whole community to get them to do this thing. So when you start seeing red flags, don't just sit down and feel like it's nothing, the child is still young and all of that. Speak out and then help will come.
Well, not just for your center now, I'm just asking, in early childhood education, when what are the steps that we need to take to include special education needs children within the normal setting, within the regular setting?
I don't have a problem with that. I still say it is an inclusive learning environment, so you cannot
because
say
EYFS is actually
you don't say you cannot take a child who has a special need. Just find there a report. Do they have a report? Because when they are bringing the child to a center, maybe they have started or they have not started. But the moment you start noticing anything, I think it's best for you to speak with the parents, because some parents already know, but they don't say anything to you. So for me, I always try to do my observation, be sure of what I want to say to the parents, invite them over, have a talk with them, you know, ask them questions. You know, you need to make the atmosphere very conducive for them. Ask them questions. How does he behave when he's at home? And then you tell them, this is how he behaves. Do you think there's something? Do you think you need to see a child specialist? Do you think you need to see an occupational health therapist or something? You know, you speak to them about it. So once you have a report stating that, oh, the child is already seen a child specialist or an occupational health therapist, it makes it easier for us. We know where to come in and how to support the child as well. So I don't have a problem. Special needs, no special needs, they are all the same. We treat them the same. And then when we have at the center, we teach them together. The only thing is that I always tell the teacher, create extra time for that child. Always have a one-on-one session with that child, even after teaching an entire classroom. Spend more time. That way you know what the child really requires.
I see your specific provisions for specific needs of each
Yes.
child. I see that.
Yeah.
That's great. That's very good. You know, for instance, the United Arab Emirates, it's a country where we have different nationalities,
Yeah.
people with different languages. So for children with English as a second language, what's the provision in your school?
So we have, what we did, we tried to take teachers from all nationalities. That is what we have done. And then we ensure that, okay, this particular child speaks Hindi. We have a teacher who speaks Hindi. So we try to bring objects, and maybe the child needs water or the child needs something. We do emphasis of like, okay, the teacher has to say the word of what it is, say it to the child, even say it in the language, and then say it in English as well. So we make provisions for all of that.
Wow, that's great. How do you manage staff supervision? I think you've said something about that, and appraisals.
Oh, yeah, we do appraisals. We do staff appraisals, and then we do the teacher train teacher. When we find out some teachers still need support and stuff like that, we try to attach a well-groomed teacher and a new body. So
Like a mentor.
we put them together and you teacher train teacher. This teacher learns from this teacher, and then we also do our own supervision based on report feedback we get from parents, based on what we're seeing in the classroom. We know how to do appraisals, and then most times we tell teachers, we give them the appraisal sheet to appraise themselves and submit to us, and then we go through it to see if what they have said is true or not. So we try to see. And then we'll have a meeting with them, sit down together and do our final results.
All right, for you, your years of experience in this field, in simple words of your own, what is childhood, early childhood education? What is it?
For me, it's love. You don't have love, you can't fit in. You don't have love at all, you cannot fit in. You need to be compassionate, you need to be passionate about the job.
Wow.
Love, compassion, and being passionate about it, these three, they go together. Honestly, if you have it, the sky is your limit. Every other thing doesn't matter because it just comes. It just comes from within, and you will do it with joy. Because at the end of the day, what we want to see is a well-developed child, a confident child, a smart child, and then you'll be so proud of yourself that
you've impacted
knowledge to somebody. So for me, love, being compassionate, and being passionate. That's what LES is for me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aisha. Thank you for taking our time
Thank you.
out of your busy schedule to join us on this edition.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, viewers.